It is Thursday, June 13th, 2024, and I'm. So I just got back from. That fan is not blowing on me at all, and I really could use that. If I go back here, it's still not very strong. This doesn't make any sense from the way it looks on camera. That's really weird. Anyway, what's the problem with the fan? There's like no airflow. I don't know what the deal is. I'll have to deal with that in a bit. Anyway, so I already forgot what I was beginning to say, but that's okay. I have plenty of things to say today. I was thinking about it on the way home from Young Adults Group tonight. So that means that this is one of the few times when I've actually been excited to do one of these. Well, that's not exactly true, but whatever, it's okay. So, first of all, at work was good. Still doing a whole bunch of stuff. My coworker who started in January, I was a little concerned at the end of the day. Maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe it's completely nothing. But I was supposed to see her after an important meeting she had today, and I didn't. And when I was like, "Hey, you got time to talk?" Like, I never received any further communication from her the rest of the day. So hopefully, her important meeting went okay. But maybe we'll hear. Maybe I'll. I don't know. Maybe I don't need to be worried. But I don't know. Well, I'm not gonna. Okay. I'm not gonna go into a full explanation of things. But uh, when she's been in a new situation that I have already been in, I've been trying to help her feel comfortable, which could definitely, if you wanted to look at it the worst way possible, there is technically an argument that I don't really want to, I don't know. There's always a worst way to interpret something, right? The worst way to interpret this is that uh, I don't even want to say, yes, I'm holding this adapter jack because I fidget with stuff all the time, just below the frame. But yeah, I don't know. It's not that I don't know. So the honest answer is that when I started here, I had to figure out all these things myself. At least I felt like I had to. And maybe I didn't have to. But there was nobody working on the stuff that I was working on. Mostly. I mean, that's. People had already moved on from my stuff, either physically or mentally when I started. So I did have to figure out a lot of this stuff myself. So I want now that the new hire is basically, following the same path that I did, I want her to know that she I don't know. I don't want her to have to deal with that too, because though there were a few months there where I was just not feeling great about life. And before, I don't know. Like I don't even want to bring this up, but I feel like I have to. And maybe I don't. I don't know. Maybe you guys are more reasonable. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that she's a lady. Like, I don't even want anybody thinking about that. If it just happens that she is doing the same things that I was doing, and if she was a he instead, I don't think it would be any different. I think I honestly hope that I would try to make a guy feel as comfortable in their job, in their new well, not in their job, in their new situation, as I'm trying to do with this person who just happens to be a lady. I don't know. Maybe I don't need to specify that. I don't know. Honestly, the reason why I'm doing that though is because I hope she doesn't feel like that has anything to do with it. I don't know. And like I said, maybe I'm just worried about nothing. Maybe. Well, I'm not gonna say anything. So I don't know. I was just worried about her. Enter big meeting. Uh, I don't know. I think some people appreciate stability. Or, I mean, I don't know. People like people who they can rely on, you know? And I didn't have anybody that I could rely on. At least not regularly. Like I could always like rely on my bosses, right? But it's not the same as like you can't go. I mean, for me, at least, I mean, my bosses didn't have time really to deal with, um, like actual day to day work questions because they have their own jobs to do, you know. But I don't know. And also, I don't know. I've been not feeling too great about my own things lately, like just like the past couple days. I don't know. There's so much stuff going on, and there's not really anything I can do to speed things up. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I was talking with somebody at Young Adults Group about that, and it's like, so what I'm taking from that, from what you've told me, is that you've already done your part, and so you should be happy about that. And it's like, well, I guess. I'm kind of currently I'm looking past what everybody's looking at right now. I'm working on future stuff rather than like the stuff that everybody cares about and is stressing about right now. And it's like, sorry guys, but can I ask you a question about a couple of years from now? And I don't know. I also worry that those things aren't the best received. because they're like, well, but you know, what about tomorrow? And it's like, well, I mean, I can't really fault you for that, but also, I need the answer to my question. I don't know. I don't. I think I feel the worst about things when I feel like I've run out of ways to help, and maybe I just need to like reframe my goals or something. That I'm still helping out by. I mean, I'm not helping out with anybody's stress or whatever now, but I'm still helping out by dealing with things now that we're gonna have to worry about in the future. I don't know. It's a, it's a weird spot right now. But I don't know. I had other things I was going to talk about. I wasn't planning on spending the entire time talking about this, but what other things? Uh, well, I don't know. I still kind of want to talk about this though. Like, so one of my main things that makes me feel weird about things is that I'm currently working on multiple projects at the same time, which I'm sure, I don't know, like most people have to deal with that, I'm sure. But there's a decent amount of people at my job who just work on one project. So, I don't know. It makes me feel weird about this stuff because, like, I don't know, with everybody being so stressed and working so hard, I have to then go say, it's like, well, I'm going to be spending all of today on my other project. Sorry, guys. And it doesn't make me feel great either. But at the same time, it's like, well, I do have obligations to my other project or my other projects. And I don't know, it really makes me feel bad. It's like, but it would make me. So, first of all, what I decide to do at work does not have much to do with what makes me feel good or bad. Um, I'm not shamed into doing my work. At least not usually. I mean, I don't know. I guess if somebody gets a little pushy, I'll see what I can do to. Well, I don't know. Not necessarily pushy. I don't know. I tried. What am I trying to say? If somebody asks me to do something on a project that I was intending to spend time on the other project with, and it makes sense to do it, and it doesn't take like a super long amount of time, uh, and it's not taking me away from something I'm doing on one of my other projects, I'll do that. I will. That was a long way to say I will make adjustments based on what people need me to do. So, but I don't like if there's not something for me to do, I don't feel like I just have to go and hang out there for a certain amount of time. I don't know. What am I trying to say? But like I have obligations to multiple things. sometimes that means that I don't end up in places at exact times that people want me to. And that's unfortunate, but that do be how it is. But I don't know. It's weird. Um, the new hire from January, um, she has definitely stepped up on the project that everybody's stressed about right now, because she's been there and been able to do things when I have had to spend time on my other project, which also makes me feel weird in some way, because I don't want to give up on my other project. I don't know. Part of this has to do with in school, I didn't really know what to do with like group projects and stuff. I don't know. As a person who's been there for longer, it makes me almost feel like it's a failing of mine if like anybody else has to step up. That saying that like that does not sound like a healthy mindset. Because I was on it for so long, like alone, I have this idea that it's my project, and it's not. I mean, I should. I don't know. I want it to be, but it shouldn't. It shouldn't have to be. I should be okay with it not being. But it's just kind of hard. So, I don't know. Maybe part of it's that I don't know. I don't know that there's really anything I can do to fix any of that though. You know, I have to do things on my other project. Or well, okay. I have to I have other obligations besides this project that everybody's stressed about right now. Which means that I can't always do things. I can't always meet with people and like talk with. I can't spend hours waiting and being like, "Oh, we're ready for you now." You know, I can't do that. Uh, I just can't. I have to spend time on my other projects. So and then because of that, I don't really have much to do on that project at all because other people are seen as more available, which they are. But then it makes me feel like I'm abandoning them all. Plus, our intern and our new hire that started in April, I think, are now working on that project too. They're really not able to contribute a lot yet because they, I I think they had stuff that they were working on before they were allowed to work on this. But then at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I guess if I do like not hang out on that project as much, maybe they wouldn't have to feel so alone, because there's at least a few of them now, and maybe I don't have to worry about any of this. I don't know. I just didn't. I really did not like being on that project alone. But because I figured out a lot of stuff. And I don't want. But it took me a long time because I didn't have anybody to ask really, or to. So. I want to be available for them to ask questions to and things like that. I want them to ask me questions. But maybe it's just part of the process that they have to figure out the answers themselves. I don't know. Anyway, I don't feel like I should be dealing with any of these things at all because I just started 11 months ago. These are questions that I feel like it's way too early in my career to be asking. Like, how do I gracefully bow out of a project when I have other things to do? I don't know. I don't want to leave the project, though. It's really interesting, and I like it. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about it. But then my mind turns to, like, okay, so, like, what do I really add to the project? Right now, not much. I guess I add somebody to think beyond our current stressors. That's what I've been doing. That's what my role has been. Which then makes me feel useless because then I don't help out with anybody's stress. I don't know. Someday they'll all be happy. I don't know. They probably won't even be. Nobody's going to know what I'm doing because nobody's paying attention now. It's all just going to... Well, they would know if... I don't know. And I don't feel like it's I need to be appreciated for my work kind of thing. Everybody kind of does. In the past, I've kind of gotten annoyed when I felt like my work wasn't appreciated. When I do something that, to me, takes tons of time and effort and skill, and, you know... Like, the main example I'm thinking of right now is, I have had a lot of weird experiences in my life. I have a weird skill set that includes a bunch of skills that I don't even currently have a way to use. One of the main one I've been thinking about right now is organ tuning, like pipe organ tuning. The church at my home church had a pipe organ. And there were issues occasionally where some of the pipes would be out of tune. Obviously the church gets an organ tuner in there to deal with some of it. But sometimes there are emergencies. Like, the night before Easter Sunday, something all went wrong. I don't know. There's lots of things. It doesn't take much for an organ to really be out of tune. So I kind of was interested in stuff like that at one point. I was interested in learning how to like being at a company that builds pipe organs. Um, I'm not saying that I will never do that, but that is not currently in my plans anymore. Uh, but so I would kind of hang out with the organ tuners while they were there, especially because my mom was the organist at our home church, and so um, I would talk with them, and I would observe them. And I have a pretty good set of ears, if I haven't made that clear enough. Um, and it's weird that I ended up playing percussion because it's probably one of the instruments that's most damaging to your ears if you're not like super careful. And also, uh, like you're not required to tune anything except for timpani, and I got pretty good at timpani. Because it annoys me so much. There are so many like recordings and stuff that you hear where the timpani are like not in tune. And I've played in so many groups where it's like you must be tone deaf, Mr. Timpanist. Like, it's terrible, and it's because percussionists never have to tune anything ever. So, and then you have to tune timpani with your feet. You have to tune timpani with foot pedals. What instrument do you have to tune with your feet? You know, uh, the most precision people ever have to do with their feet is like driving. So, but anyway, so yeah, I had a good set of ears. Um, I don't know. So when there was like a particular pipe out of tune and my mom wanted to use that for something, or if there was like a whole rank, that's what they call like a set of pipes that sound the same, is called a rank, or they're the same type, or I don't know what you want to call them. But if there's an entire rank that had problems, I would go and take care of that. And that, it's so hard. Like, I was able to do it, but listening so closely, like listening for little itty bitty minute details in like so much noise that an organ pipe makes. Like, you know how you can hear that pipe from the end of the hall, right? Uh, so imagine standing like being cramped, you know, you can't touch anything because if you brush anything, that pipe is going to be out of tune. So you're already uncomfortable because you're tight in a cramped space. You're like maybe 2 feet, your ears are like 2 feet away from this super loud pipe. You're trying to listen to another pipe somewhere else to tune to. Uh, and at some point, you lose track of like everything. Like, it's crazy. Like, you kind of start to go insane. I don't even know how to describe it. So basically, what you have to listen for is the difference between the two pipes. Usually, you can hear beats, but sometimes you have to actually like shift your head around because of physical space reasons, or it would be more accurate to say physics space reasons. Uh, Sometimes you can't hear those beats unless your head is like physically 2 inches over because of how waves interfere and such. Like, you can need to move your head around while you're tuning, and that just isn't great. Uh, and it's so annoying because like you're trying to tap with whatever, you know, uh, to tune it, and if you go just so much past it, you have to go back. You have to try to get it in the, you can't go past it, and it's so annoying because oftentimes, they're stuck on there so that they don't move, which means that there's friction, so they don't move normally. So then you have to like overcome the friction to move like a micrometer, and if you don't overcome friction, it doesn't move. So it's so hard because you have to be so precise. If you tap it just slightly too much, it could be even more off than when you started. And then, you're just sitting there listening to the pipe, listening for the beats. And, like, I'm not even kidding you. Like, there's been points where, like, it didn't, I was listening so closely for the difference between the pipes that it sounded like the pipes were, like, I had, like, lost track of the pitch of the pipe, which, like, doesn't make any sense. Like, I had been so focused on the difference between them that it sounded like we were at a different pitch when I was done. Like, I don't know if that sounds weird or if that makes sense. But, like, you would think that you wouldn't lose track of, like, the pitch of the pipe that you're working on, because it's so loud and in front of your face. But you have to focus so much on the minute details, the difference between them, to get them in tune. Anyway. Plus, and it takes so long to do that. And you get to a point where you're just like, I don't know, it's just good enough. Like, I don't have the brain power to focus on these things anymore. It's one of the most exhausting experiences in my life, and all you're doing is listening. That's it. You would not think that would be that difficult, but no, it is. Anyway, if I've stressed that enough, I was willing to do that for my mom, because I understand how important it is for a musician to have an instrument that's in tune, and organ is really one of the instruments that you cannot tune yourself, because the place where you play the music is not the place where the sound comes out of. So when you're tuning an organ, either you need to figure out a way to hold a key down on the other side of the room, or you just need somebody sitting there. And somebody else tuning. So I was willing to do that because it's like, okay, well, it's one of my skills, right? I can help out this way. But I don't know. Organ tuners get paid really well. Like, per hour, the rates are not bad, we'll say. Because it's super specialized, It's a skill that, like, nobody has. Emergency organ tuners, who happen to be the son of the organist, do not get paid. Well, I was going to say very well. But no, they do not get paid. It's like, I don't know. There was one point where I was like, I'm going to be wiped out for the entire rest of the day. It's so frustrating too. Like, there's not very many things that, like, get me going. Like, there's not very many things that are, like, really, really irritating to me, that like get to me after a while. But there's something about that too that causes that to happen, and I don't know exactly what. I think it's just being squished in a cramped space, um, with such loud noises, trying to focus so intently while making the smallest amount of adjustments, while also like needing to yell over the pipe, over the noise of the pipe to like say when to move on or whatever. Like you're not actually in control of the sound being made. Uh, so and somehow up, saying up for like the next note, or saying down, somehow that never, you know somehow the meaning I intended never ended up getting across 100% of the time. So that was kind of frustrating too, but that's not really the point. uh I was oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, I was gonna be worn out mentally and irritated, like at the end of, this is not a fast thing either. Like, it might take us an hour or two to do this. Like, this is not, you know, I guess the good thing is that uh, my mom wouldn't make me crawl up there just to do like one pipe unless it was really bad. But at the same time, it's like, well, so now we're dealing with a situation where we have to do a bunch of them at the same time, which is fine if you're paying an organ tuner to come out and they live like hours and hours away. But that's not really an emergency tune anymore, is it? So, yeah, at one point I was like, hey, I'm going to be irritated. I'm going to be annoyed for the rest of the day after this. I'm going to be completely mentally exhausted. Like, I feel like I feel like I'm providing a service to you. That's basically, yeah. There's no more to that sentence. And I don't know. Well, I don't. Maybe I. Well, let's just say that conversation did not go well. It's like, I feel like you don't really appreciate how hard this is, because you talk about all the time about how, like, okay, so like, what if I hold down the key while like you tune it? It's like, oh, I don't have a good enough ear. It's like, okay, so I am providing a service for you that you can't do yourself, right? So there is an amount of work that I am putting in that is also a skill that you don't know anybody else here that can do that. And I have been, well, I would consider it job shadowing to some extent with the guy you pay plenty of money to do this. So, I don't know. It's like, I feel like that is a situation where saying, thank you, I appreciate you, I don't know. I almost didn't believe it. And what was the start of this whole thing? The start of this whole thing is that I don't know. The point of this was that I don't usually need appreciation for the stuff that I do. Well, I mean, because also an example of that is that I'm doing this. And I don't even. I'm doing this without any appreciation at the moment. I have no future promises of appreciation for this either. And, like the symphonies and stuff that I've put on my music writing program, uh, that is a skill that I would consider mostly useless, but I still do it because I find fun with it, and it's cool. I enjoy the stuff that results from that. But this organ tuning thing was maybe not the best example of that. I don't know. I'd love to hear your comments on that. It's not something that I've necessarily uh, thought through all the way, maybe. I probably have some more thinking to do about that whole situation. It's like, why would my mom try to make me feel terrible about even suggesting that? I don't know. Anyway, granted, like, so I hadn't had any like official training, unless you count like all of the times where, like, I'd been watching like the piano tuner at my house, you know, whenever he would come by, I would watch him do his thing too, and maybe that's where I started to develop my ear. I don't know, because I had been watching him work like since I was like really young, really. Um, Maybe that's where started developing my ear. I don't know, but I had seen, uh, I don't know, how many times had I like seen an organ tuner work. Uh, I want to say at least 8 times. Like, I had been with the organ. Well, okay, maybe 8 times as much. 6 times. How about that? I had been with the organ tuner the entire time they had done everything that they needed to do on the organ. Maybe 6 times isn't enough. I don't know. We'll just say six. So, like, I had learned enough from those 6 times to actually do some of the easy stuff that they were doing. And to be fair, I did not do any of the difficult stuff like, any of the electrical or computer problems or anything like that. And I shouldn't have been able to do any of that. Maybe I could do now with my work experience. But at that point, I did not have any experience with electronic equipment or anything, really. So if I had been able to do that difficult stuff, I would have a full-time job doing that stuff, you know? That's like me saying, oh, I don't do as much as this person that's been at the company for 20 years. And it's like, well, yeah, that's not something to be ashamed of, right? It's a situation to be remedied over the next 20 years. Hopefully. I mean, depending on what my goals end up being. But, uh, but yeah. So, I mean, all I did was the easy stuff. But it's still stuff that nobody, like, I didn't know anybody else who could do any of that besides the people we brought in to pay to do that. So yes, I had not had official training besides, the 6 times or whatever that I had, like, they had all explained it to me too. Like, and not only that, they weren't all the same person. Uh, we'll I'm going back and forth on the number a lot, and I'm probably it literally doesn't even matter. But we'll say that it was actually like 8 times. The first 4 were with one person. The last 4 were with a different person. So not only had I, done, like, not only had they explained what they were doing, and like they had been explaining, they didn't need to explain the basics every time. Like, I still had that. I had gotten perspectives from like 2 entirely separate people in 2 entirely different schools of thought about how to do this stuff. And no, I had not had a full-time job doing it, or had I been officially trained for 40 hours a week. But I don't know. I felt like I feel like having somebody on hand that you can, like, honestly, basically on call, who like lives in your house, that can go and do this thing, like, whatever weekend you want, whatever Saturday morning that they're not in school. uh I feel like that deserves more appreciation in some ways, you know. Uh, it's a balance between the availability and the experience, I guess. Uh, but I don't know that. And the thing is, I didn't mind doing it. I didn't dislike it. Well, at first, I was like, this is great. This is a way that I can like use some of my skills to like actually help people out, like my mother and everybody that would listen to the organ, uh, so that they would have better experiences and have more meaningful experiences in their life, you know. And I was able to help my mom do her job better because, she was, she gets paid to play the organ. Um, but also, I mean, she has many years of experience, many, many years of experience on that too. Uh, but so, but like just, the satisfaction of a job well done was not enough for that. My mom being like, "Thank you," was not was not good enough. And eventually, like, I don't know. Like, my mom would take me out for ice cream for things. I honestly don't even remember, like, going out to ice cream after doing these things. Sometimes I was kind of just like, I want to get home and, like, take a nap. And I never take a nap. So, yeah. And then to be so hostile when I was like, I think this is a skill that I should, you know, like if you want to, I don't know. I think our conversation went something like, I don't feel like you really appreciate what I'm doing. And she was like, no, I do. Of course I do. It's really wonderful and great and everything. And it's like, well, but like, I don't feel appreciated. It's like, well, but no, I do appreciate you. It's like, wait, that's not what I said. I said I don't feel appreciated. It's like, well, I don't know what you want because, I really appreciate what you're doing. And it's like, but I don't, I have zero proof of that. That's basically what our conversation went like, I think. And it did, well, and, it would also be different if anybody knew that's what I was doing, you know? Like, we would go there, like, on a Saturday morning, get it all fixed up, she'd play it on Sunday, and everybody would tell her how great the organ sounded. And she'd be like, thank you. Uh, well, there's... I'm sure people did actually mean to compliment her playing. But, there's also another reason why the organ sounded good. I don't know. I'm kind of nervous talking about this. That's why I'm like wiggling my legs and stuff, which you can see on that, and I get annoyed about every time I notice that I do that because it just looks weird, but I don't know. I haven't told anybody around here that emergency organ tuning is one of my skills. And I don't know if I have plans to change that. I don't know. My mom and I really do agree on most things. There really are just two or three things, two or three major things that have really bothered me about differences. And as you may be able to tell, eventually me doing emergency organ tunings was one of them. I don't know. And part of it's like, well, you're giving back to your church, and, that's always good to do. And it's like, well, yeah, but, like, you get paid to play the organ, don't you? And I don't know. You're paying the roofers to fix the roof, right? You're not making all them, you're paying the musicians that you bring in for like special occasions and stuff. Actually, we kind of had a conversation about that. But maybe that's a story for another day. I don't know, I might have talked about it. I don't think I did. It was around Christmas this year. So, I don't know. Part of me wants closure. on something on that. Like, it's just I don't have very many loose ends in my life, really. At least I don't feel like I do. I feel like most of the stuff that I've done, I've tied off neatly with a bow and moved on. But I don't know. That still frustrates me a little bit. And it also is kind of weird that I've never heard of the organ needing emergency help after I, moved away. So don't know what to make of that. But anyway, that really wasn't the point of any of this, and I did not expect this to go on for an hour. And the whole point of this was that I usually don't need appreciation, but sometimes I do. And really, what I'm dealing with now is the opposite. Because in this situation, I knew that I had a skill that nobody else had, and I had the availability to help out, so I did. And I felt bad because I didn't get anything out of it. I don't know. The goal wasn't to get anything out of it, but I shudder to think about the if I had gone a few blocks over to a different church and done emergency tunings for the however many years I did. I don't want you guys to think that it was like a common thing. Um, it did legitimately need help when I did it. Uh, and it wasn't even like an every month thing. It was maybe once, twice, 3 times a year. I don't know. I don't really remember. But it did. It was for a number of years. Um, how much? How much would a different church have appreciated somebody doing emergency tunings? Don't know. Not really worth it to worry about at this point. Uh, so, yeah, and like I've begun to say many times this hour, what I'm dealing with here is really the opposite. It's that I feel like I don't have the skills to help out and I don't have the availability. So I'm feeling bad for like the opposite reasons than that. Not that I, once again, not that I needed appreciation for the work that I do, but that I feel like I'm not doing anything worthy of appreciation. Well, okay, that's what it is. Man, it took me an hour to come up with that. I am my own therapist? Question mark. This is so weird. What is my life? I don't even know. So yeah, I'm feeling bad now because I feel like I'm not doing anything worthy of appreciation. Which ultimately has the same result that if people tell me they appreciate what I'm doing, I still don't believe them. Not because I don't believe they appreciate me enough, but because I don't believe there's anything to appreciate at all. So, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll feel better soon, or maybe not. Honestly, I don't really know what I'm doing at work tomorrow. But I guess I'll figure that out when I get there. I guess I still have some training to do. Can probably do some of that. I've been not super good at keeping up on some of the training that I've been doing because well, honestly, I've had so much to do lately. Well, I've been trying to be available enough. I don't know. I have been busy lately, so I don't know why. I just feel like I haven't done anything. It hasn't resulted in anything. And I feel like other people are having to do things that I feel like I should have been able to do instead. But I don't know. I honestly should probably talk to somebody besides myself about this, but knowing myself, that's not super likely to happen. Maybe, though. I do have some people that I think are willing to hear me talk about stuff. Maybe. No, yeah. But I don't really want to make a big deal out of it. I don't know. It's just having moving priorities from one project to another when you really like both projects feels like you're I don't know, like cutting off a little bit of your soul or something. But I don't know. It's time for me to go to bed now, so I was gonna do some video editing tonight. I wasn't gonna have very much time, and then I decided to talk for an hour and 3 minutes instead of just 3 minutes. But to be fair, I did have a lot that I wanted to talk about. And the major topics were, I didn't even talk about, I was going to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles, but it really doesn't fit the vibe of this one. So maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow. I was thinking about that on the way home because I'm still listening to Xenoblade Chronicles music. But anyway, yeah. I feel like I have a lot to add and absolutely nothing to add at the same time. So, I guess that's it.